Guys, once more, the desert awaits us as we will reach our halfway mark at the survival stages. Once this game concludes, who is going to take the lion's share of the points, or are we going to sprinkle them about like oh so much seasoning on top of an already spicy tournament? The plane path coming on in starts from El Pozo, heads down towards Partona. Our 64 players ready to jump out.
Let's get it going, see how it's going to end up unfolding. El Pozo, I believe, yeah, we had that hot drop, right? Alpha 7 Falcons, do we get the repeat? Very rarely, at least in the Americas region, does Alpha 7 have to change up their landing spot because a team has pushed them out. It's only happened once to my knowledge, and it was in the PMSL Americas fall season 2024. So this could very well be a repeat of that same situation. I look at them currently flying over Miramar, and Alpha 7 and Falcons are still relatively close to each other. There is a chance we get a repeat of what we saw in map number 5.
Is Narvalo going to be able to hit those big, bold drop shots again? We'll have to wait and see. Or will it even be necessary? There's always potential that they could split loot El Pozo, send on out, and try and just disengage from one another, but we'll have to wait and see. Picardo as well, remember, there was a hot drop there, and that was with Regnum Kaya losing the majority of their players in that scenario. So it looks like they are actually going to be changing quite dramatically here, going for that spread around Picardo instead of trying to drop on the inside.
So going back to in the zone, straight up north, a little bit different from what we saw in the last game. Let's talk a little bit deeper about this Falcons Alpha 7 potential fight, which might be going down for Team Falcons. They've already done their job today. 46 points, I'm happy with that. If I'm a competitor, I'm thinking, okay, even if we get first eliminated here by Alpha 7, yeah, it's not ideal, but I'm still happy with the amount of points we got. We're most likely going into the finals competition. Now, for them to challenge Alpha 7, you don't want Alpha 7 going for a back-to-back championship. You now have a chance to shut them down in game number 6 in 10th place. That's a tremendous offer, and if I'm Team Falcons, I want to hunt them down, and I want to take this fight once again to Alpha 7 and try to keep them away from top 8 as much as humanly possible. And we do have Ralph, who's going to be kind of circling around the team of Alpha 7, but in the meantime, it's not unfolding just yet. Power, we saw them early on in the last game. We're seeing them once again.
They are already on the road. We're only 2.5 minutes in, and it seems like teams are already making their way forwards to these next stage positions. So potentially fairly light on the loot for a few of our players, but they'll be okay. Okay, heading back in towards Picardo. They can pick up a little bit more gear to be getting on with. So for Power, currently sat right at the top, nearly up at that 60-point metric, which would be huge to end their day on. In the meantime, Alpha 7, they're out. No hot drop scraps to be seen so far this match, so adjustments have been made.
That's right. I think this is the best course of action. Something Alpha 7 didn't have a chance to do in the last game, now have a chance to go dead center of the zone. Maybe have a little bit more longevity. Let's not forget, for this A7 roster, they are a wonderful Miramar team. That last game was very unorthodox. It was all up to Narvalo, who ended up clutching it out. So for Alpha 7, a big game here is very much so needed. Even the best can start to feel rattled. I don't know if Alpha 7 is necessarily feeling that pressure just yet, but you know, there is a little bit more at stake now in the survival stage. Without question, they go up towards Horta. Northern side of the zone, still very much dead. A lot of real estate there for anyone to take. But for Alpha 7, how long do they stay center zone?
That's the question. It's kind of antithetical to what they've been playing so far. Playing that edge side, playing that sweeper position, but they're going to change things up here on Miramar. I think they can chill out here for quite a while. These concretes should be fairly decent to hold. We'll see how long they can do so. Vision rotating in from that southwest side as well. Currently 2-2 split. A really quite big split. It's about a kilometer difference between the two outposts. This is on the forward position for Team Vision. You've got the other two players bringing up the rear behind them. Never alone, playing with an Nawaf on that vehicle rotate behind them. The scout is good. They're clearing the path, and they're going to be chilling for the time being. And actually sailing on in fairly close to a couple of other players, potentially all the way up towards Alpha 7 there on the north.
Setting the trap on the Sleepy.
Oh no.
Sleepy gets up. Does he know Petrino's up there? Well, now he does. Cat's out of the bag. A big fight for the high ground. Molotov out.
No,
Sleepy down!
Sleepy no!
Down! And there's nothing he can do. Hugs the wall, tries to avoid damage, and simply cannot. Petrino holds on tight to what he's got.
That's really bad news for Sleepy. Drops down the side and takes a dirt nap. That is an uncomfortable pillow, if I do say so myself.
Well, still, a chance to get back up is there. Jiggle overlooking where Petrino's out means Petrino can't comfortably go for the finish, nor do I think he's truly concerned about getting the cleanup on the Sleepy. So might be a four-man unit quicker than you would assume. The pickup is in, so all good. Sleepy can let that error go. It's like it never happened.
It definitely happened. It's so happened. It's unbelievable. The rest of Intense Game might actually be able to navigate around this one and force the positions for Aura. The benefit of not going for that. The benefit of not going for that flush out is that it draws Aura in, and now they have to commit to this hillside push. So Petrino can just give ground. I mean, it's smart, right? You just slam it in reverse, do a little pirouette on the way down. You look classy, you look sophisticated, and you just get out of there, right? That's the idea.
Not out yet.
A lot of ammo being dispensed here downhill, but not quite connecting. Has to hop out though as the vehicle starts to set on fire, and there we go. Okay, so. As cool, as swift as it looked, he was not quite quick enough.
Well, from Power to Noxium Red Force, they start to clash very early on. Power was one of our early teams in map number 5 here on Miramar, who started off on fire, had a chance to take the win, falling just short to RA this time. Maybe one of our first teams to be eliminated, depending on how this fight ends up unfolding. Noxium Red Force, a very aggressive roster, who started to improve their performance on day 2 group play, looking strong, obviously, in today's competition, now top 3. Badan hugging the corner. Noxium Red Force starting to tighten the vice grip. It's not going to be an easy fight for either which roster. I do love the high ground over Tizzy. Power cannot disengage. With Doc starting to fall, do we start to see Noxium Red Force unfurling?
Binny will be there for the refrag. That smoke on the door frame is doing a lot of work for Noxium Red Force. He's playing around it with the shotgun, just going on those gut reactions there. Hitting those flick shots, all important. Has done so much for them. Easy, drops down, out and around the side, and he clocks one on the swivel. A really nice heads-up drop down there for Easy. More to go, though, and Binny on the inside, trying to keep things together for Noxium Red Force, but Power trying to turn it around, and the pump action again for Binny. Dispensing a hell of large amount of damage for the roster of Noxium Red Force, and they keep it going. Power done and dusted.
Ooh, and that's tough, isn't it? Going into tomorrow's competition, Power, man, they're going to feel good naturally. Great performance when it comes to the top of the standings. Currently first place, 56, near that 70-point theoretical threshold for top 8. They're very healthy, but going from what should have been a guaranteed win, in my opinion, in map number 5 to being first out in map 6, they're going to have to recover short-term memory going into day 2's the final day for the survival stage. The zone shifts wildly down towards the south, and therefore everybody has to full speed ahead straight into the next stage.
I'm looking at Regnum Kaya, I'm looking at Fireflux holding down towards these south areas on this map. You've got Fireflux who can control the south edge of San Martin, get up into those hills and try and maintain the control. Everybody else on the road. Alpha 7 leading the charge. They leave almost immediately. Rightly so. They've heard that fight across the way. They know Noxium Red Force are still a little bit battered and bruised. Can't take that fight, so you get out of there fast. You're not going to be as challenged here. Across the road they go, and they're looking a lot safer now, and they are into Regnum Kaya territory.
Alpha 7 dead center, like you said. Let's see what happens here as Noxium Red Force very close to him. Regnum Kaya also starting to tempt fate. Alpha 7 pushes up. This is a must-win fight. Alpha 7 needs to stay alive. It is critical. They break into top 8 by the end of the day, and some great utility has already been thrown. Revo is starting to take over the high ground, pushing where Wild is currently at, just down below. Loxy, a solo at multiple times, who has managed to stand his ground. This time has a full force around him. It's only going to make him a better player. Squash, pre-fires, no connections, and the dance will continue.
Alpha 7 rock up, no casualties on the approach so far. A little bit of damage sent towards Mafioso, towards Revo, but they are now in the straight up 4v4. As Regnum Kaya holding the ground, a lot of damage sent over to Mafioso and a 1-for-1 trade on the off angle there. Silas finds a second as well, looks to put Alpha 7 back down into the dirt, and it's all up to Revo now as they're finding the shots for Regnum Kaya. His hold is monumental. Toshpik is traded off, but one is not enough, and Alpha 7 end their day in the bottom half of the lobby.
That is so tough. Regnum Kaya putting the final nail in the coffin for Alpha 7's performance in Day 1 survival stage. They will officially finish outside of top 8. Tomorrow has to go so much better if they want even a chance to go to the finals and defend their title from last year. Now we focus our attention over towards Team Falcons, a roster that was underperforming throughout the group play, but overperforming when it comes to the survival stage, looking to finish in first.
Alpha 7 really good at Miramar, by the way. 1 point, no points. It's kind of crap, really, isn't it?
It is.
It's not what you want to see for Alpha 7. And
my concern, though, John, is like they go in Americas and they underperform. They do. Let me take it back. Stage 1 of PMSL Americas, they've overperformed, beating the second place team by over more than half, or more than double if I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
Then they go into stage 2, they start to slow down a little bit, second place. Now, still impressive, right? But we're talking Alpha 7 here in Americas where they should be dominating. And then they go to grand finals and they start off very, very slow. Let's not forget, they only qualify for this stage, for PMWC in the final game, and it's because Wolves dropped the ball going to the Death Shack and basically not even choosing to play the final game. Of course, they did, but just too slow, and well, they didn't have a game plan. Alpha 7 barely skates in to top 3, finishing bottom 3, right, for their region, which they should have dominated. And now they're in the survival stage. The pressure is on, and now they're not even top 8 going into the second day. I'm starting to get a little bit worried.
They're losing pace as well with the rest of the pack moving ahead of them towards that bubble. It's going to be difficult to make it. Nongshim Red Force on the northern side here. We saw that engagement earlier that they had with Power. They were able to win it, but the speed at which they could leave is not going to be fast enough. They've now taken heavy casualties, and that crossing is going to be nearly impossible. With one player remaining, Doxy will try and get something done, and we'll see how much further he can go. Regnum Kaya holding on to their position with 3 players alive is good. I'm looking at Kinotrope as well on their southwest side with a nice spread out across a lot of ground, but the Falcons are going to look to challenge the south point. They could potentially find a weakness.
And I think the weakness is going to be Blur. Blur off on his own, and this could be Falcon's opportunity to kind of bully him out. Granted, you do have Ozan who's going to be able to fire down low, and he did a great job, by the way, in the last game, right? Ozan was that off angle, just peppering shots at the enemy, starting to roll in. But for Falcons, they are a punishing roster. They see Blur by himself, you better believe they're going to push him.
Yangon Galacticos on the western side, currently taking heavy punishment from Aura to their north, who do still have to rotate themselves, and Vision to their north as well, who do not. And they are going to be able to hold down in this compound. You can see Yangon Galacticos further up and ahead on the south edge of this one, on the exit from Monte Nuevo. Yangon Galacticos suffering. Aura now looking to mount up, who've been dishing out some punishment, but wanting to try and break towards the top side here. In 9th place, Aura looking to move away from Alpha 7 towards E-Arena. But E-Arena themselves going to be crashing on towards this Regnum Kaya position. We've seen them defend one. Can they do it again?
Regnum Kaya looking to take down 2 teams in the same game. And E-Arena, though, got to give them faith because they've done such a great job holding hardcover POI, but it's chaos across the board. Loxy bottom right, of course, Joker, who's going to be bottom left, and then the overhead up top is it's just a mad scramble for positioning, and I believe Regnum Kaya gives respect to E-Arena. They're dipping.
I think this is sensible. You wait for those pushes, you should control these door frames, and you try and get some value out of it, but you know you're not winning really, realistically, a lot of the time in that engagement. It would take a lot of confidence to stick around in that spot, and the fact that they had those vehicles ready to go says to me this was their plan all along, right? South, try and stop some teams getting in. If we don't get any knocks, fold back to where we held before.
But I think they come back. I want this hardcover POI, if I'm honest, because it's going to be such a power play, kind of like what Power was in just the last Miramar that we ended up witnessing. Granted, second place, but you notice once they got the hardcover POI in center zone, they were a force to be reckoned with, and they finished with over double-digit eliminations. So for Regnum Karya, I don't think this is going to be the end of them versus E-Arena.
Falcons starting to push in. They have been quietly finding their way closer and closer to these circles, and now they've managed to find a team trailing their way in, and they will drag them back down. Take one of their players out, Yangon Galacticos down to 2, but Falcons are outside of the circle, and they have danger sent to them from Kinotrope on the southeast, and Yangon Galacticos, even with 2, are still deadly.
That's exactly it. Kinotrope is going to be the X factor in this fight, and as far as I'm concerned. You also have Vision, who might play a bit of an impact, who now start to move through, but in the meantime, Yangon Galacticos feeling the pressure. Team Falcons noticing where Vision is currently at. For Falcons, in my opinion, I'm sending it into the zone. I'm trying to get as much distance as possible once these fights have concluded, because I'm not too healthy. I'm not too happy with Yangon Galacticos being around us, Vision also being in the area, and Kinotrope also being up top. Falcons could be in trouble before they know it.
Getting a little bit more healthy here. They'll need every advantage they can get. Pushing in the southwest side is treacherous. The terrain nice and bobbly for you as you try and roll on forwards. SayCloud has spotted Redox. Redox unaware of the position, but doesn't quite go down. Will have time now to heal this one up, and SayCloud's position is known. He'll have to reposition and get away from this location before the Falcons descend, before Vision send out their way, but I don't imagine that Vision are going to be super keen to send south at this stage. They're going to be more interested in heading east to regroup. Meanwhile, is it going to be, it's Aura on the northern side, and IG having a tough time of it.
IG, team that's been struggling quite a bit towards the bottom end of the standings, only outdoing that of Gamix. We've noticed IG get overly aggressive at times, disrupting fights. This time they look to take down Aura, and it's not going to be easy. Meanwhile, we transfer over to R8 and Influence Rage, and there's bodies all over the ground.
Every health bar's red on my screen right now. What is going on? It looks like Influence Rage are going to be able to heal up a little bit more effectively than R8 in this location. In fact, it's only Damar who is left standing for them, and he is split from this fight. He is trying to take those shots down and might actually have an impact here, as 3 players from Influence Rage are currently on the deck, and Damar could try and challenge this. He's not really got too much to lose, has to get out of here anyway. A front flip on the buggy. He's dismounted from it, but he stays alive. Will get it back into control, but all this time, Influence Rage have been healing, have been regrouping. Hang on a minute. No, they haven't.
He took down Lowboy. He took down Lowboy from a distance. Now Damar knows, I've got to capitalize off this. He pushes straight in. He's a solo. He's going for gold, but can he pull off a miracle play? Well, at least so far, yes, he can. He re-rotates over to potentially take down Lowboy, but now he's going to take down Lorzen, who pushes over the top. Damar looking to make a heroic play, but gets silenced finally from a distance. He's taken down as Fireflux says enough is enough.
During all of that as well, Kinotrope sent a big node over towards the Falcons that has torn them in half. They are suffering now, and it looks like they're being handled nicely out on the western side. Redox the last to stand for them, and he will fall in short order. A well-placed nade stops Falcons in their tracks, going down with minimal points on this match, but their day is pretty successful so far. They have managed to turn up where they haven't before, and will be happy moving into day 2.
It's not the biggest surprise, though. Falcons were so embroiled in this fight against Yangon Galacticos. Meanwhile, Vision was also laying down shots down range, and Kinotrope just had too much of a power position, too much vision on Falcons once they started to push in, and they had to start pushing in to go into the next zone. So Falcons get eaten alive, and it will be Kinotrope who have a potential to have a tremendous game, which again would be very valuable. They're knocking on the door of passing up the previous year champs of Alpha 7. Top 8 is a possibility. They need a lot of points to get there, but finishing the final game of day number 1 of survival stage is so impactful. For Kinotrope, they have a chance to do it.
This is also a big chance for Regnum Karya to put themselves back in and amongst the top dogs of this lobby. Making sure that they can end over 40 points would be fantastic. Getting up towards 50 would be brilliant. It will take it still quite a long way to go for them. They'd need a 26-point match to be able to get up towards that 60-point mark. It's doable. There's still plenty of points left going. We'll see what they can find here on the northern side. They've got a solid spot.
Fireflux so spread out, mind you. You've got Scarface all the way in the north, Solus way down to the south, along with Matcap and Catch are going to be the closest together, but even them are quite separated. And Scarface is feeling the pressure as Loxy takes him down. John, do you think that spread is a bit too much from Fireflux's perspective?
I think that you could definitely argue that, yes. I think it's fair enough to say that it was way too bold for Fireflux there to keep that one going. Perhaps they didn't have the rotational capacity, perhaps they'd run out of vehicles, not entirely too sure, but it looks like they're going to try and re-establish this split. I mean, there's no one really challenging them here. At this point, everyone's pushing in south or north or west, so they are trying to just cover this ground, but I think leaving someone on the far side of the on the far side of the road may be a bridge too far.
Yeah, it's a bit weird for me. Granted, gaining insight, maybe scouting the horizons, but your scouts get taken down, and now it's time to get back together. Solus looks to be joining where Catch is currently at. Matcap will also join into the mix. Maybe they were trying to establish individual zones, so when the stages did start to collapse, they had real estate already there and the information needed in order to set up quite nicely to gatekeep, but it's just a bit too much. But with 3 members still remaining, a chance is still there. Now for Doc, well, his chances are gone, and well, that's going to be the end of Red Force. They get taken out, and their final game of the day is over with. Now, for Hora Esports, though, all eyes on them. 4 strong, dead end of the zone. They can make a deep run.
Yeah, with the hills that they have to play around here, they can definitely get quite close to the center. We're going to be seeing the next circle in about 5 seconds as well, so it's going to dictate the pace. Vision, they've been slinking their way down this western edge and towards Kinotrope, who now find themselves in a little bit of a ditch. A huge nade comes through from Noir, finding 2, and immediately they can descend on this one. They should be at the very least. There's only 1 player close by to try and handle this one. Ozzy-san at a distance. I don't think he's going to be able to say anything about this. I don't think he has a chance to chime in if Vision just pour over the top.
Yeah, Plur, I mean, maybe, just maybe he can make something happen. He throws the nade, but it's a bit too short. Plur is going to be the last-ditch effort for Kinotrope to try and be the hero to shut down Team Vision, but I don't know if he's going to have what it takes in order to do so. But he does get the off angle, but the shots are going to be missed. He's going to be snipped out and taken down, and Team Vision, who was opposite of Kinotrope for the longest time, puts almost the final nail in the coffin, I should say. Ozizon is gone, and now it's survival mode for him.
Where has this Team Vision been up until now, right? These guys, off that last Miramar, they got a healthy elim count, and now they're back up to 5 with a western point position. They have a chance to push towards E-Arena, sure. It is a difficult one, a lot of open, quite flat terrain as well, but they do have a chance here to put another big number game on the cards. They started this Miramar set really down on their luck, but they have started to pull their socks up.
Zon goes into a hot and ready Lil Boy as well as Influence Rage. Doesn't have the help needed. Influence Rage start to encompass where Ozizon is currently at, and he won't even get a shot up, unfortunately. He will be eliminated, and therefore Kinotrope are gone from a very dominant, strong position. Pressure was on for Kinotrope. They get 3 eliminations. I'm thinking they're going to have a deep run, maybe even surpass the performance of Alpha 7, but they fall short as Team Vision take them down in conjunction with Influence Rage.
I'm looking at Vision right now. I think they have the most difficult approach here. Wouldn't be too surprised to see them sweep around to the north side. It looks like they're trying to consider that as well. Over towards Ora. Move out into that open ground that sits there with the circle. Having the compound in the southwest quadrant. It's not necessarily going to be ending up there, so it could potentially be an advantage to be on the outside in this scenario.
Could be. Regnum Caria disengaging from E-Arena earlier, right? You talked about it, you said that's a favorable play. I think maybe there's going to be another contest for the hardcover POI, but no. Regnum Caria being where they are, I actually favor them. I think they're in a wonderful spot. E-Arena now starts to inch their way closer. Everybody knowing this compound is going to be so impactful for the future stages, and everybody wants a piece of it.
The difficulty for E-Arena here is that the positions that they hold have so much open ground around them inside that compound, right? We saw that side shot from Team Vision's perspective. There's just this open wasteland of nothing that sits between them and Regnum Caria on that northern side of the compound. To make their way north would be really, really tricky. it would be a better use of their time to play around where Mormon is playing, right? That east side of the compound, try and stretch up a little bit closer to the edge, have access to the hills, and potentially take a couple of shots out towards Aura, towards Influence Rage, towards Fireflux's remaining players.
Vision wants it. Vision wants to push in. Regnum Kari gets a piece of the building in the next stage. E-Arena going to be quite healthy where they currently at. Need Sakura as well as Joker to join into the mix for Vision. Well, they've got to make a decision, and honestly, going south, you go into E-Arena, you go north, you got Regnum Kari who's going to be looking directly at you. You said it was going to be difficult for Vision. Well, now the job just got even more difficult.
It is really, really tough stuff here. 6 teams now remain with 21 players alive. And it looks like Marcelo's going to get a little bit closer now to Regnum Kari. Draw some shots out, get a little bit of info.
Yep.
Wait for E-Arena to try and challenge as well on a third-party off angle, but they aren't spotting it.
Have no choice. Vision, they've got the man advantage, but they've got to break into the cover. It's not going to be easy, but it's their only go at it. They focus on the Loxy first.
Right.
Loxy, though, does a good job taking down a couple. In fact, he's going to get the full finish onto Alone. Marcelo off to the right will also be taken down. Volt, the last chance, the last dance for Team Vision to make anything happen in the final game of day number 1 of the survival stage will end in a wonderful hold. But here comes the third party, E-Arena. They're out for blood, and they want to finish off Regnum Kari.
They've heard this fight popping off. This is the only team that was holding them from moving north, and Regnum Kari's sightlines get pushed off the angles. They don't have time to heal because they've got more players descending upon them. Tony K, nade in hand, Wild desperately popping that first aid. The Molotov on high keeps Loxy back off the window, and Tony K plays forwards, and he opens the door, potentially to his demise, but Silas not going to go down just yet. Tony K hopping up, trying to challenge on the high ground, and might be able to do it, but slips low, and in the meantime, E-Arena have lost a player on the off angle. Fireflux are moving in. Influence Rage, Aura as well, trying to find their way through and closer to this fight.
Tremendous fight, a big fight indeed. The question is, who's going to end up ahead? Regnum Kari, E-Arena, Fireflux with catch. Will he have any impact? Well, with the reset, E-Arena, once again, a 4-man unit who can push straight into Regnum Kari, but Silas wants to hold his ground, and he's doing exactly that. With the choke point of the stairway, he knows if anyone pushes up, they're good for dead. Silas needs to hit the shots needed, but no one is going for the challenge just yet. Regnum Kari still has a little bit of distance. The fight will stagnate once again.
Silas, the big dog with 5 elims, sat at the top of the performance charts for Regnum Kari here in their final moments of this hold. Alpha 7 couldn't do it. Vision couldn't do it. E-Arena taking a crack at it. Regnum Kari may be too tall of a mountain to climb here as they keep things on lock and key. These guys are champions in their own right, and that is on full display here.
Without a doubt, now they've got to push forward. They take a couple of pop shots on the Aura, keep their heads down, so they have free and clear ground to push up. Now, you do got to consider Fireflux catch, who's going to have the off angle on Regnum Kari once they do push out. But for Aura, all eyes on Influence Rage up ahead. Influence Rage, this is one of their deepest runs we have seen today, one of their best performances yet. I'm hoping they start to crawl their way up into the top 8 position, but Aura, they've got other plans, and Lil Boy is down.
Let's get a little bit more done. Loxy falls as well on an off angle there, and it looks like Aura are starting to extend their influence. It was Ketch who was able to catch them on the approach there. They're potentially going to be resable, but the blue zone pushing in, they just don't have the time. Dead center of the circle right now sits in Aura territory, and it's going to be up to Regnum Kari to try and dispatch them from that location. Regnum Kari committing? No, they don't find the res.
Oh, Wild, he's got the forward position. He's going to be the closest to Horda, but he doesn't understand what he's getting into. You've got Influence Rage who's been fighting against Horda. Wild's going for the off angle. Sleepy has taken a lot of damage. Sky's going to be coming in. Silence is going in. The tip of the spear looking to turn the tides. Regnum Kari is full committed. They know they have to, but Wild, he's the only one who's going to be standing currently. Horda is going for gold, but Influence Rage, I've got to favor them. I think they got this. Horda, they are running on fumes, and Influence Rage is tightening the vice grip.
Law with a nade cooking now over the the top needs to find the shots, but Lorison goes down to the back line, and no answer is found with a nade. Sky looking to try and take up the mantle of the Peak, but again, he is rebuffed. It's all up to Jiggle now for Otter to keep them linchpinned into this match, but Catcher's there. He finds it, and that's Law as well, taking the shots out wide. Nobody's getting out of this desert unscathed now, and Law can't find the first, looks for the second challenge, and he just dips behind it. Stays alive for a moment longer, a breath allowed for the time being.
Sleepy. Sleepy's the one to watch out for. Catch as well. Look, Fireflux can still very well win this with a solo, and it could in fact happen. Sleepy's going to take down Law. He's going to be gone. No Fear's once again dropped. Diego's going to be pushing up onto Orta. The nade's going to be cooking. Orta's actually out, and now it comes down to a 1v1. It's going to be Catch versus Diego.
Catch, the madman from Fireflux. They've been playing on dribs and drabs for so long, and they managed to find it right at the end. What a crazy turnaround for Fireflux. They play in the shadow of Team Vision and Regnum Kaya on the compound. They play Split, they play Snake, and they bite.
Fireflux, a dominating performance, the solo playing spoiler, and you gotta respect Catch in that moment. We knew he was in a power spot, watching Regnum Karya start to rotate over after they win 2 dominating fights, but at the end of the day, it was Catch overlooking his competition, overlooking the battlefield, the battleground, and knowing he had what it takes in order to take over the victory. Fireflux, a tremendous win, and a night and day difference from their group play performance to where they currently stand, just behind Power Esports.
What a rotational set at the end there. I mean, Fireflux, by all rights, should not have won that one. And I think that, for me, Regnum Kaya put on a real classy display in that match. That hold on the north side, that regroup up to the north edge as well. That is a team of discipline. So for Regnum Kaya, they close down strong. The top 8 here looking